Good evening. My name is Paul Lynch, and I'm an anesthesiologist and pain management doctor from Scottsdale, Arizona. And I'd like to do my weekly update on COVID-19. Many of you guys know I went to New York to work during the outbreak and started a daily blog, and I've been sharing my videos for the last couple of months now. I'm sorry I missed last week. I had a crazy busy week. I met with two United States representatives to Congress and also two senators. And spoke a lot about the importance of not just a national response to COVID-19, but also our international response. But I'm back this week, and I wanted to do a quick review of where we're at. I'm going to try to make these videos a little shorter. I've got some feedback that maybe they're a little bit too long for some people to watch, but I want to quickly hit you guys with some of the information. And I think what I'll do differently today is I'm just going to talk to you. I'll quote some numbers and then I'll put links below. So I'm going to put 5 or 6 links below to some of the data that I'm talking about tonight. I'm going to basically do 3 things tonight. I'm going to review where we're at now, and I'm going to focus a lot on Arizona because I got a lot of Arizona friends here. I am going to talk about where we're at in the world and the country, and then Arizona. I'm going to talk about 4 types of media tonight, so I hope you'll enjoy this. And I'm going to talk about 4 things that you can do to avoid getting COVID or spreading it to others. So with that as a background, let me jump in. So I've got my computer up here, and like I say, I'm going to quote a couple of things, but then I'm going to send it. I'm going to put a link below in the comments so you guys can look at all this yourself. So first of all, in the world, COVID's not going away. We had a trend getting better from about the middle of April through the end of May, but over the last month, we've now seen an uptick in deaths across the globe. And so I'm going to take a picture of this and put it in the comments, but I'm also going to put a link to it. Yesterday, just as a reference, we had 5,235 deaths in the world from COVID-19. Guys, that's a lot of people. And if you look just at the United States, it's a similar trend, but it's harder to see a real clear uptick across the United States in deaths, but we had a pretty clear trend down, and then just over the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's kind of flattening. Some people would argue it's ticking up, but it's not a real clear uptick. Yesterday we had 918 deaths. The day before that we had 999. So we're still kind of hovering around this 1,000 deaths per day, which is a pretty big deal. So this is our world in data that I'm quoting, and I'll put that link below. I'm looking on worldometers.info, which I've used all along, and one of the interesting things is how terrible Brazil is looking right now. My brother used to live in Brazil, speaks Portuguese and has family there, and so I really worry about the Brazilians. There were 33,000 new cases in Brazil yesterday and 1,300 new deaths. If you just look at the top 5 or 6 countries, it's Brazil and then United States, Mexico, India, the United Kingdom, Russia. And so this continues to be a problem throughout the world. The United States on this website shows 20,000 new cases yesterday. And I think on my last video 2 or 3 weeks ago, I talked about that 20,000 cases a day is a number we're just having a hard time breaking. We're continue to have 20,000 new cases almost every day. If you dig into the data a little deeper, this is where it gets concerning for me, being from Arizona. I want to talk about yesterday. The top 5 states in the country for new cases were California, then Texas, and then Arizona. We're number 3. So Arizona, where I live, where my family lives, where my mom and dad live, we have the 3rd highest amount of cases in the United States. Florida was 4, and North Carolina is 5. One thing that I just want to point out is this concept that heat is going to kill the virus is just not true anymore. So we can put that concept to bed. If you look at the top 5 states, California, Texas, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, they're all very hot states. Arizona is one of the hottest states in the country, if not the hottest. And we are per capita number 1 right now in new cases. I want to say that again. We're per capita number 1 in new cases. Yesterday we had 1,556 new cases, but we only have about 6 million people. We're just trailing California and Texas, who have significantly more population than us. So this concept that maybe the heat was going to help us is clearly not true, which is very discouraging. This is yesterday's data. I'm just going to take the time to show today's data. The number 1 most cases in the United States were California again, 2 was Texas, 3 was Florida, and number 4 is Arizona. So 2 days in a row, we're in the top 5, and 2 days in a row, we're number 1 per capita in new cases. There was actually an analysis that showed there's a hot spot happening in New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona right now, where if you looked at last Friday, new cases on a week-over-week basis, those 3 states that all touch all had at least a 40% increase in 1 week. That's pretty discouraging. And so certainly, depending on where you're getting your data and your information, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, the science shows that Arizona is exploding right now. And I got a lot of questions today because I did a call for the Phoenix Foreign Relations Committee, and they asked, why is this happening? I don't want to get into a whole lot of why, but the truth is Arizona is exploding right now, and it's time for us to be very serious about wearing masks and socially distancing and some of the other stuff that I'm going to talk about later on this call. I'm going to just mention the Maricopa County website. They're doing a pretty good job of updating the data daily, and so I'm going to put a link below for that. But what we're seeing is a increase in hospitalizations, an increase in ICU visits, and an increase in deaths. Banner put out a couple of alerts last week saying that they could no longer take any ECMO patients. I think I talked about this on one of my first videos on what ECMO is. But ECMO is when you take all the blood outside the body and oxygenate it like a heart-lung machine and then put it back for people who have COVID that's progressed to the point that their lungs don't work at all. So Banner put out an alert they couldn't take out any more ECMO. And then they also said that they were getting close to capacity on ICU beds. And so this is something we're going to want to watch really closely. I'm going to put a link below to the Arizona Department of Health website. And once again, the Arizona Department of Health website data is not very good, showing over 1,000 deaths and over 1,400 new cases today. But I'm going to put links to all of this, which kind of takes me to my second point. I want to talk about this concept tonight of 4 types of media. I've mentioned this several times in my video. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a doctor, and I don't really care about political affiliation. I just want to keep people safe. But as I started thinking about it, I thought I could teach this a little bit better, and so I want to try to teach it today with 4 types of media. So, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone with my analysis. This is just the way I see it as a doc. I think there is mainstream media, which most people would say leans slightly left. CNN's a good example, and probably leans a little bit left in their reporting. There's Fox News, which I would say leans to the right. So there's, I would call it mainstream media. There's Fox News, whatever kind of media you would call that, call it right-leaning media. Then there's social media. And I've noticed so many people are getting their information from social media, which is a little bit scary. I would actually say that social media leans crazy. Like there's some truth to it wrapped in like a crazy shell. And so I think you can get left-leaning media, you can get right-leaning media, and then you get social media, which kind of leans crazy. And then I thought of this concept that I want to teach. There's medical media. That's not really a word, medical media, but I want it to be for this talk. Maybe we call it medical information or medical education. But I'm going to say that my videos, I'd like them to be kind of medical media. And so hopefully it doesn't lean left and it doesn't lean right and it doesn't lean crazy. I really hope that one. What I'd like to do is present just facts, just data. And so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to put links to 5 or 6 different websites. And I would encourage everyone who's watching my videos to try to think about getting your information from medical resources that aren't biased by politics, and try to make decisions based on science and based on data and not based on what someone else tells you or their interpretation of it. And so I want to be helpful in that process, and hopefully I don't have much bias in my reporting. So I'm going to put links below to 5 or 6 websites, and if it's helpful, let me know. And if you have any other great websites that you use, please feel free to put them in the comments below. So that's my concept of 4 media: left-leaning, right-leaning, crazy-leaning, and hopefully no lean on medical interpretation or medical media. I'm going to tell you 4 things you can do to stay safe, and then I'm going to be finished. So I've reported this before, but I want to do it again because it's so important. Arizona is blowing up right now, and I want to give you some things you can do to stay safe. So number 1, wear a mask. The data is really clear. When you wear a mask, when everyone wears a mask in public, it's going to decrease your chance of transmitting it to others for sure, and may even protect you from getting it. Number 2, wash your hands a lot. I've said this on this video, but I'll say it again. You can order alcohol online and aloe vera or even like conditioner, and you can make your own Purell. Make sure it's about a 70% content of alcohol. But wash your hands a lot. I make like a little bottle that I carry around with me, and I wash my hands constantly when I touch something. Number 3, socially distance. And so socially distance is a really large spectrum of behavior, including not leaving your house. I told my mom and dad, don't leave your house in early March when this first started hitting. And I think they've done a pretty good job of staying kind of indoors. And that's like ultimate social distancing. But if you go out, honestly, guys, stay away from people. It's blowing up right now in Arizona, and there's no reason not to take this seriously. And number 4, this is for businesses and hospitals, and we have to screen. So we need to screen for symptoms, we need to screen for temperatures, and then once we find people that have the disease, we need to track, contact trace. And so I combine those into one step, screening and tracking. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I'm praying for all my friends around the country, all my friends and family here in Arizona, and I just implore you, be safe. This is hitting us pretty hard right now, and this is the time not to get lax, but to double down on everything we've been doing the last few months. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful night.